1. Welcome everybody to Geekvice episode 217, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name is Morph. That man is Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
How are you doing on this wonderful Tuesday night?
It just seemed weird. I wrote, I take notes, and I wrote episode 217. It's like, wow. It seems like we just crossed 200 like a month ago.
I know, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It is crazy. It really surprises me on, like, how much we have done and, how many episodes of this we've stuck with. Like, no pod fading here. 200
no
episodes.
Pod fading.
I think we win. Like, I think that's considered a win in the podcasting world when you get past 200. So.
Well, when we were first starting this, a lot of things that I read were, like 100 was the big milestone. If you could make it to 100, you're like in elite company. And here we are.
We did that
217.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing is, like, you look at how long we've been recording and the episode that we're at, and our miss rate is pretty low. Like, we've,
Yeah.
And this is not to bash on any other podcast, but we've been pretty regular about every week. So, even on that, we've done really good here recently with, even when we were going to be gone, we pre-record some stuff so that we have some, have something to go up still. And I think that's good. When I listened to a lot of different podcasts, the one thing that always frustrated me was when you got on iTunes or whatever you were downloading your podcast with, and you go to look at the next episode or download the next episode to listen to it because that's your schedule. You were ready for it on that date, and there wasn't a new one because they missed a week. That was always a bummer for me.
Yeah. And they say you lose viewers when that happens, or listeners, or whatever you call people who partake.
I can see that. I can see that. So, hopefully everybody is still loving this show. Let us know what you think. Let us know what we've done right. Let us know what you want changed. Can't guarantee that we can do it, but we can sure try.
Yeah. We're good at that.
Yeah. Can't hurt. I don't really have any announcements for anything.
Okay.
I'm trying to think, I'm Geekvice Gaming is still going. We had an episode go up Monday. Have another one going up Thursday. I am trying to get a backlog and kind of build up the queue there so that I can guarantee that a new show will go up every twice a week. But right now I don't have a backlog, so I just recorded last night, and that's gonna go up on Thursday. So we're gonna try to keep that going. I need to play more video games. That's just what needs to happen.
Work.
I know.
Playing video games.
I need to stop working and just play video games. So somebody pay me so I can do that. Really, they don't even have to pay me. You could just pay my wife, because that's where all my money goes anyway. Wife and kids. Right out of my bank account and into theirs. I guess I will throw out there, I got another notification yesterday that a game that I kickstarted, a video game that I helped on Fig, it wasn't Kickstarter, it was Fig, but it's kind of weird. I guess crowdfunded is the proper term that I should use. A game that I crowdsourced, I don't know, whatever I gave them money. I basically pre-ordered the game. That game is going to be coming out here next week. May 8th is the big release date for that. It's Pillars of Eternity 2, The Deadfire. So, sequel to Pillars of Eternity, which was also a Kickstarted game, and they have gone and added a whole bunch of stuff to it. This game is a RPG-ish game, kind of in the realm of Baldur's Gate or Icewind Dale. It's very D&D-ish. So really looking forward to that coming out, which is more of a reason why I need to get a backlog of Geekvice gaming episodes so that I can actually spend some time playing Pillars of Eternity 2. So that, because it looks really cool. And they announced in the latest update to it, they announced that they have done voiceovers for all the conversations in the game, which is really kind of cool. In the first game, it was only key conversations, and in an RPG where you have NPCs, you can basically all across this world, you can go talk to any of them. All of those, according to this update, all of those will be voice acted, so they'll all have voiceovers for them. So every time you go talk to somebody, there's actually going to be a voice, which is kind of cool. It means less
As
reading.
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be that way.
Yeah, it's less reading. You know, a lot of those RPGs, it becomes a lot of reading.
Damn it, I'm here to play video game, not read.
Yeah, yeah. But it's really kind of cool. And for those of you that watch Critical Role on Geek and Sundry, all of those voice actors are in the game. They all have major roles in the game. So, yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. You keep your fandom going.
That's right. That's what. It's kind of funny because when you listen to or watch their show, the music that he uses as background music while they're doing stuff is from Pillars of Eternity. He got approval to use that music in there. Matt Mercer did, and so it's really kind of funny because I listen to Critical Role while I'm at work, and just I usually have the YouTube minimized and just have it playing, and every once in a while that music will start up and I'll kind of look around like, I didn't have that game going. Oh yeah, that's just that music from there. So it's very iconic. I like it. So that's what I got coming. That's all
I haven't kickstarted anything since the last Prolific Games one. How long ago was that?
I would say that's been a little while. What was that? Witch Slapped?
Was it Witch Slapped? I think it was Witch Slapped.
I think it was. Yeah,
was that or Cultist and Cthulhu? It was one of those two.
I think it was Witch Slapped. I think Witch Slapped was after that. Oh, so, you know, that is actually kind of a perfect segue because this last Saturday, was International Tabletop Day. And you know what shirt I wore that whole day? Witch Slapped.
All right.
I wore my only tabletop game shirt to, you know, kind of spread my geekdom. I also tried to go by Tabletop Games and Hobbies here in Kansas City to take the family there for the first time, but we were doing some running around in the morning and they didn't open till 10, and we were in that neck of the woods at like 9:45, and we were on a pretty tight schedule, so we weren't able to stick around. We had to keep moving. We had to go to IKEA.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I hate going to IKEA.
This one wasn't too bad. I've never ran through IKEA before, like literally walked at a really fast pace. But that's what we did because we were in a hurry. we needed one thing out of there, and you know, to walk through the entire store of IKEA, I mean that's like a 30-minute trek, 40-minute trek, something like that, and we needed to be like back on the road in less than an hour, and so we went through that store really fast, didn't stop at anything except for the one thing we needed. The only problem was we didn't know where in the store it would be.
Well, you have to go through the entire labyrinth.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's one way in, one way out, so you have to go through the whole thing. I think that's one thing that bothers me about it.
Now, what you need to look for when since you don't like that, look for the secret passageways.
I have a better idea. Don't go.
Or don't go. That
Yeah.
does help.
I get through it a lot faster if I just don't go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I found in this time that there are actually secret passageways. They're not really secret, but so if the aisle comes and takes you like, or when you get, you know where the edges are of the store, because it kind of makes you weave back and forth between these edges. If you go to an edge that tells you to go the opposite direction, you know, the main path is telling you to go to the other way, like go to the left, go to the right where there's the wall and follow that wall along, and you will skip about half the store.
Nice.
So I found those out, which is kind of cool. I don't know that it'll ever help me ever again, because I don't really want to go there again. But I think I've been there twice, but my wife's been there like 5 or 6 times. So usually I get out of going to those, because, you know, taking the kids to a store like that is never really a good idea.
I've been 2 or 3, maybe a handful of times, and after the last time, it's like, never going back. Don't care what you need, not going back.
Right?
You're going to have to go by yourself.
Yeah. I understand that, and I completely agree with you in that stance. All right, but International Tabletop Day. Let's get back to that. That was Saturday. That's the most important thing here. We played board games. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get together because of our schedules, but you played board games. I played board games. What board games did you play?
Well, first of all, I think next year we're going to have to plan better.
Yeah.
So maybe we can do something, even if it's not Geekvice presents, even if it's just get a group of us to go somewhere.
Yeah.
We need to do that.
I agree.
I ended up at Tabletop Games and Hobby, but I didn't show up until 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Holy shit, was it packed.
Oh, I believe it, man. There was 5 or 6 people waiting at 9:45 for them to open. So, yeah.
I believe it. So, I didn't take any games with me. I thought, you know what, I am not going to walk around carrying my games, waiting for a table to open up. Hell with that. So, I went there counting on the kindness of strangers to get to play some games. So, there was this great big table and one guy sitting there with a mountain of games. So, walked up and he's like, I'm between games. Did you want to play something? And he's like, hell yes. So, we picked out a game called Suburbia. Working in the civil engineering field, you'd think I'd be good at a game called Suburbia.
I'm going to go with no.
I finished in last by a pretty good margin, so yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm not good at it. But the guy who won also works in the civil engineering field, so at least we were redeemed. At least the civil engineering field was redeemed by Jason winning by a large margin. But what it is it's a tile placement game, and it has an economic component to it, kind of like Power Grid.
Okay.
The further up on the market you go, the more expensive things get. Okay. And what you're buying is parcels of land. Could be an airport. It could be a subdivision. It could be an apartment complex. Some commercial stuff. Bodies of water. So you have a lake. You could buy waterfront homes, and it's these, hexagon-shaped tiles that you place in your subdivision, and you try to build the perfect tract of land. The scoring takes a little bit to get used to on this. So the victory points are population. As
Okay.
you do certain things, you earn reputation, which gets you more population, plus certain tiles you place get you more population. So you keep track of that per turn. And then at the end of the the game, which is basically when you run out of tiles to buy, is what it came out to for us to be. But actually, there's 3 stacks. There's A, B, and C. They have a lot of them in there, and then inside stack C somewhere, there will be a tile that's basically end of game, and you play one more round after that tile is drawn, and then the game is over. You count up who has the most population, and that person wins. Um, every time it was my turn to purchase, nothing I could purchase upped my population any at all.
So does your population go up depending on what each tile says something different to increase your population, or?
Well, there was things you could do. There was 2 things you could earn: money and reputation leads to population. And it seemed like every tile that was out there for me to buy from got me money. There was points in the game where I'm like, I am loaded with cash and I am way behind in the population, which it's a Euro game. So there's a tendency in Euro games, once you fall behind, you pretty much have to throw Hail Mary passes to try to catch back up.
Right.
And since I was loaded, I could buy some of the more expensive pieces of land that really jumped up my population. So there at one point looked like I was in the game. I almost caught up with the 2 guys that I was playing with, but then, my one Hail Mary pass was too little too late. They burned right by me again, and I ended up losing. I'm making this game sound negative. It was actually pretty fun. I'd like to play it again. There's a lot of symbology on the tiles as you place them, and there was times where the tile you already placed counted, and sometimes it didn't, and I was confused about that. But basically, you place the tile, and it's like you earn $2 for every one of these tiles that's adjacent to the tile that you just laid. And sometimes you play something like a body of water, and you earned all this money because you had waterfront properties already played. And it's like, okay, when do I count the tiles that are already played, and when don't I? I wasn't sure what was going on. I think it's one of those situations I'm going to have to read the rule book myself.
Right.
The guy explained it to us, and he did a good job of explaining it to us because Jason picked it up and had no problem understanding the scoring. I completely sucked at it.
So it almost kind of sounds like Carcassonne.
Kinda.
Like, at least in the playing tiles that need to match up to tiles to get points for those tile, like, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's
with a little more.
You can place a
complexive.
tile pretty much adjacent to any other tile.
Oh, okay.
But there are certain circumstances where if you place one tile and it's up against, say, like you placed a landfill next to a subdivision, you actually lose reputation. You lose population because of that.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no rule that says you can't place it here. You're just going to pay a price if you do.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of difference than Carcassonne on that. But everybody's given this little piece of cardboard that's got the half of a hexagon carved into it, and that's where you start placing your tiles. So you place your tiles only, and everybody else places their tiles only. You don't play on their board. They don't play on your board.
Okay. Okay.
It's just a resource management, and there's a little bit more strategy to it when you can look at what's available and look at what you have, and you could like try to plan like, oh, this one expensive tile here that nobody's going to buy is really powerful if I can put it up against a whole bunch of housing tiles. So I could buy this cheap housing tile, make like a donut, and hope that other tile is still there. And then when I place it, I've earned all this money or prestige or whatever.
Gotcha.
I didn't figure that out till way too late. But there is a chance at that. There's also a component of not only is each tile have a cost on it, where it is in the market could add to the cost. So on the market, the first 2 tiles, it adds nothing to the cost, and then like $2, $4, $8, $10, I think is what it was.
Gotcha.
Tiles were like anywhere from $4 to $20, so we're not talking thousands of dollars. The math is easy. But you could flip a tile over, and it's basically a body of water on the back, and the tile doesn't cost you anything, but where it is on the market could cost you. So if it's in one of the first 2 free spaces, that tile is free. You flip it over, you place, you have a body of water. Ta-da!
Right.
If it's on the other spots, you just pay the add-on, the $10, $8, whatever it is, and you get this tile. You can use that strategically to remove a tile somebody else is going to want. It's like, oh man, if he gets that tile, he's going to get a shit ton of points. I'm taking it.
Right.
You could do that. So you can do a little bit of that as well, which is, underhanded but fun.
Yeah.
Each person also gets a secret objective. Like mine was finish the game with the most bodies of water in my subdivision.
How'd that go for you?
I tied for the most, and according to the rules, which I did not read or have a chance to read, if you tie, nobody gets it.
That sucks.
I played for the tie because I was like, well, I don't need another body of water. I have 5. He has 5. I still have the most, technically, but nope.
Oh,
I ended up with nothing.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, if I would have known that on my last turn, I would have just pulled another body of water and moved up and got the 20 population for that. But, hey, live and learn.
Yeah.
So
your first time playing the game, so.
It is, and like I said, it's one of those games I'm going to have to read the rules myself and really go over how the scoring works. I was fairly confused most of the time. In fact, the guy who owns the game did all the calculating for me. Because there are times I'd place a tile, I'm like, okay, I earned $4. And he's like, no, you earned 8. Oh, okay. I had no idea. So I'm going to have to read the rules myself. I'm seriously considering that could be a game I want to own one day. Especially a lot of people I play games with are in the civil engineering world. I think it would be a hit with those people. So I don't know. We'll see. It's a good time. Another game I sucked at, though.
Yeah. Well, and you can, so according to Board Game Geek, we've got, it's a 1 to 4 player game, plays in about 90 minutes is what it says on there. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
First time playing, it probably took us 2 hours, but that was because he had to explain the game to us. And
yeah, and then actually play and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that.
Exactly.
Age group, it does say 8 and up, which puts it right in my wheelhouse. The community says 10 plus, but 8 and up is what the game's actually put for. Complexity rating on Board Game Geek is 2.78, which I haven't completely figured out what that means, but I know the higher the number, the more complex it is. So that's kind of right in your middle range, you know. I think it sounds like it's got some complexity to it, but I'm sure once you get used to it and start rolling with it, it's going to start, it'll make a lot of sense.
Yeah, like I said, the rules are easy to grasp. It's just the scoring.
Yeah.
And it could be just because I am not a good listener is not the right word, but it's pretty close. If somebody tries to explain the rules to me without me actually getting to see visually what's going on, and I have to just go off of audio cues, I'm kind of screwed.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that.
And
You almost kind
it
of
would have
need,
been better if we would have just laid out a bunch of tiles and he explained them
yeah,
than just saying, okay, this tile
like
means this tile means this, and
yeah,
then,
like a cheat sheet type thing is what you
yeah,
kind of needed. You needed like, hey, look here, this picture is gonna give you this number of points, and this picture, this is gonna give you this. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Because there's a
yeah,
lot of combinations and stuff to figure out, and
it's,
when does this tile keep scoring even though it's already played, and when does the tiles only get scored when they're played?
right.
I'm not sure, but I think it's just a matter of me reading the rules and I'll have it down.
Well, according to Amazon, you can find it for $38.99.
Yeah, I can't
So
imagine it's a
it's
really expensive
no,
game
not
because
too bad. A little $40.
yeah, it's just a lot of cardboard. There's no like minis or anything like that.
Yeah,
No dice, just cardboard.
sounds really cool. I'm
It is cool. I'm glad we got to play that game with that guy.
yeah.
And then we moved on, and basically we ended up playing what I consider to be the board game version of Candy Crush. And that's a game called Potion Explosion. And basically, you are a chemist trying to come up with all these potions. You get these little vial shaped cardboard pieces that have holes in them that you put colored marbles on, and then each area has a certain color assigned to it. And then you have this nice tray that has two parts. One part is the upper tray you pour the marbles in, and then the lower tray is like 5 or 6 chutes that the marbles just go in a line on, and it's kind of like this random thing once because you pour them out of the bag. And how it's played is on your turn, you pull a marble out of the chute of marbles. And what you're trying to do is say like you have 2 yellow, but in between them you have like a red marble. If you pick the red marble and take it out of there, it causes the 2 yellow marbles to basically clink into each other.
Mm-hmm.
And once 2 marbles clink into each other, you get to keep those marbles.
It's much better than Candy Crush because Candy Crush is like you need like 3 or 4, right? Or something. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't play Candy Crush, so I can't really
I
tell
don't
you.
know either. But so if you have like 4 blue ones in a row, you can pull one out in the middle. They clink together. You get the other 3. There's all sorts of chain reactions that can happen, like in Candy Crush. But you get the marbles. You fill out your potions. There's a spot on your board where you can put a few extra marbles. Anything you don't use, you have to put back in the upper tray and let them work their way back down. Once you create a potion, it's worth victory points. You can also drink the potion, and again, it's one of those where I think it needs like a bunch of cheat sheets of what each potion does.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because there was one in the main rules that we kept having to pass around, and finally I just didn't drink any. It's like, fuck it, I'm tired of trying to figure out what the hell's going on. I tied for first, even though I didn't
Oh,
drink any of the
nice.
potions or do any of that stuff. So that was kind of interesting. Well, I guess I did at the end, but
So
it didn't make any difference.
did you play the base game or did you play with the expansion?
We played the base game.
The base game. Yeah, because I watched the guys over at Watch It Played play this game when you had told me about it and said that you thought my kids would like it, so I went and checked it out. Yeah, yeah, I definitely think my kids will like that one. I've added it to my wish list already. It's kind of a cool. I like the concept to it. It's very simple in what you need to do, but it's got that added strategy to it that you're just like, ooh, that good feeling of pulling out one marble and then watching like a set come together. You get to pick all those up. Another set come together. You pick all those up. It's like, ooh, that's
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's kind of that good feeling, that good strategy feeling that you get. You're like, oh, I did
Yeah.
something right.
And it's one of those games where Um, because once you finish a potion, you take the marbles off, you put them back in the tray. You never run out of marbles, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
The end condition is um, the first one to get three of the same potions. There's these little tokens like 4 victory points, and there's only a finite number of those, and the number is based on how many people are playing the game.
Oh, okay.
It's a 4-player game, so you get all of those. In a 3-player game, you take one of them out. A 2-player game, I think you take 2 or 3 of them out, and so
Yeah,
you get
there's
3 of
only
a kind. You get one. If you get 5 total potions, you get one. So at the beginning, you're just trying to get stuff done. You're just
right.
trying to get potions made, and then after a while, you're like, "Wow, I have 4 potions made, and none of them match. So I'll just go for the 5th one and try to get one of these tokens." And um, that's about as heavy as the strategy gets, honestly. I mean,
Right.
it's really just pattern recognition
Mm-hmm.
is all
Yeah.
it is. I think it's a perfect game for people who play at work. I think it'd be a great game to pull out for over lunchtime at work,
Yeah.
because really all the setup is you take the tray out, you pour the marbles in, and you're ready to play.
Yeah, that's
Game's
pretty.
over. You take all the marbles, put them back in the bag, put everything in the box. You're done.
Yeah.
So setup and tear down's easy. The rules are really freaking easy. Take marbles, make potions, earn victory points. I mean, it was that simple.
Right.
But it was fun. Had a good time. It was just one of those games you're like, on the surface, your listeners like, it sounds so simple. I don't think it's going to be any fun. And then you play, it's like, I had a good time with that. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pulling up the stuff on that one, trying to get it pulled up. Yeah, because that one's. It seemed to play really fast. Like, that seemed to be, like, extremely fast.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it says it's a 20-minute game. Is that what that is? It didn't take us any time at all to play, and we were learning it at the same time. So, and for a 3-player game, I don't think that's too shabby.
No, not at all. Not
Yeah,
at
it's
all.
internet's slow. Actually, it says 30 to 45-minute playing time.
Yeah, but it almost like I think it could go as quickly or as slowly. It's one of those games that it can go as quick or as slow as you want, because you could purposely try to drag out the game by trying to get, a set of, get your set of 5, or try to get, instead of getting a bunch of 3s, sets of 3s going, or depending, because at least the way I watched it was the different potions that were out there. You had a different piles of them, and you could only take the top one off, so you were kind of limited on what could be there. So I could see it add some time to it, but it just looks so simple that it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It has that just tactile thing of pulling the marbles and the pattern recognition, but because it's potions and you could drink the potion or not drink the potion, you could see what marbles maybe somebody else needs, and you can pull a bunch of colors you don't actually need, put them back in the tray. I mean, it's just one of those games you could just have a good time with.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's a perfect family game, and I also think it's a good lunch hour game.
Yeah, this one has already been added. There's also an expansion to it that adds some more potions and some more ingredients. I thought that was also really funny that all the ingredients actually had names for them. So, like, I think it was, oh, I can't remember. The black one was ogre fungus or something like that. Ogre mucus. The yellow one was like fairy something. It wasn't fairy dust. It was something more like goofy. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of fun. I liked the idea of those. Um, What else was there? There was oh, so the expansion gives you like more of those ingredients. So it's like it's got white marbles and some other different color marbles to add to it, which I think would be kind of cool. Just to just add a little bit more complexity to it as well. So
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
a little harder to
it's
make
so
stuff.
simple. Any complexity would be welcome,
Yeah.
to be honest, but I don't think it's necessary, but it
Yeah.
would be nice.
So Amazon has that one. Of course, Board Game Geek doesn't have a price tag on it, but I remember looking at it before. It was a little more pricey. I want to say that it was in the $40 to $50 range
Yeah, it
for the
was
game.
$41.99 the last time I looked
Yeah.
on.
So with the I mean, you're buying marbles. I could see that being a problem, or see that causing the price to go up a little bit. Also, I'm gonna guess that the box is fairly large because you're not gonna take apart that tray every time. So, at least that's my hope. Is that tray kind of stays together?
The
Um,
tray stays together, yeah, and the insert is perfect. Once the tray is put together, everything still fits in the box
that's cool. That's really
with the
good.
tray assembled. So
That
that's a
is
good thing.
important. Yeah. So the game plays 2 to 4 players, 30 to 45 minutes, like we said before. Uh, the box says 8 plus. And Board Game Geek's complexity rating is a 1.72, which is nice and low. So,
Yeah,
kind of goes right along with it. Simple enough
yeah.
game, not overly complicated.
I
Fun for
think it's one
beginners.
of those games that once you feel like you're comfortable where your kid won't try to swallow one of the marbles, they're probably old enough to play the game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's. Oh, and here's your marble ingredients: unicorn tears,
That's right.
dragon smoke, ogre mucus, fairy dandruff.
Fairy dandruff, that's what it was.
Yeah.
See? I knew it
So
was
you have
fairy.
blue, red, black, and yellow.
Yeah. So it's a really cool looking game. I hope that I can get my hands on that one and bring that one home to play here
Yeah.
with the kiddos.
Yeah, it's a good one. It was fun. And then the last one I'll talk about was a short game called Circle the Wagons. So Circle the Wagons is what's the best way to put it? I think it's called a wallet game. The packaging it comes in actually looks like a cheapo wallet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's just a basic little card game. It's a 2-player game only. Takes 15 minutes to play. Reminds me of a game you would play if you were sitting in an airport and had nothing to do or something like that. We were about ready to call it a day for International Tabletop game, and Jason was like, I got to play my copy of Circle the Wagons. Like, all right, let's do it. And basically what it is you are creating your homestead.
Okay.
And as grassland, or whatever they called it, prairie land, I think is what it's called. And then some of the objects could be like a pick, a bottle, a buffalo, a gun, a fort. And those don't mean a whole heck of a lot, except for at the beginning of the game, you'll put out 3 cards, and they're 3 objective cards. And then you'll take the rest of the cards and you'll put them around in a circle around those 3 objective cards. And one of the objectives could be anything like, if you can get 4 forts that are in a square corner to corner, you earn so many victory points. If you can get like most contiguous desert put strung together, you get victory points for that. So what it is you put them all out, and then you decide who goes first. Whoever doesn't go first picks a card, and that's the starting card. The first player either takes that card or moves around the circle until they have a card they want, and they take that card. But all the cards that they skipped, the other player gets to keep.
Huh.
So you end up just taking the cards one after the other until towards the end where you're like, wow, the first 2 or 3 cards here just suck. I don't need them. I need that card. And if we go 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, I'm not going to get that card. I'm going to take it now. That kind of thing. For a 15-minute game that is that basic, I had a good time.
That's kind of cool.
I, of course, lost, but that shouldn't surprise anybody. But I had a good time with it. And if you're one of those people that find yourself every now and then, you and a buddy with some time to kill, Circle the Wagon is a perfect game to pull out and just do real quick.
Huh. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So, yeah, that just sounds really interesting. I kind of want to check that out. I don't know that you can go get that from anywhere. Or at least it might be limited on where you can get it from. It looks like this was a Kickstarter game. So
it probably was, knowing Jason.
yeah. So
he's reached like super backer status, so
backs everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it looks kind of cool. There's not a lot of information on it on Board Game Geek, like you said. 2 players, 15 minutes. It doesn't have an age to it. I'm gonna guess. I mean, it sounds simple enough. You could really be.
Yeah, the community says 8 or higher. I buy it. Yeah, that's that simple. I mean, the artwork is pretty basic. I mean, it's not ugly. It's just nothing like, wow, look at that artwork. It's like, yeah, I can tell that's a wagon. Yep, that's a pickaxe.
Well, that's that's kind of the kicker thing to it. If you can tell what it is from the picture, you can probably even lower the age that can play on it even some, because that's kind of that big thing. Being able to just recognize the pictures and finding those kind of things works really well. So, again, this is another one that's got a low complexity rating, so that's not surprising with the way you made it sound. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It's just one of those games I don't see it getting pulled out very often because it's a 2-player game and it's as quick as it is. But I think it's just one of those games, if the perfect situation pops up, you just say, hey, let's play this real quick. And it's just fun enough that you wouldn't be like, nah, I don't feel like it. You'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Very good.
Circle the Wagons.
Well, that's kind of cool. So, yeah, we played a couple of board games here, and we played one brand new game that nobody in my family except myself had played before. Is one you actually introduced me to, and the reason I picked it up was, well, like I've mentioned here, I started an Amazon wish list for different board games that I wanted, and this game came up as a golden deal, one of those limited time, hey, buy this in the next 24 hours or while supplies last, you can get it for a big discount. So I got Forbidden Island and picked it up for, like, I think it was $10. So it was like 50% or 60% off type thing. Really fun game. It's a cooperative game, which my kids, at least my youngest one, loves playing cooperative games. That's his big thing right now, is playing cooperative games. He doesn't like competing against everyone because he doesn't like losing. So any game where we can all work together to accomplish something, he's all in for. So we got this out and played it. Took me a little bit of flipping through the rules to kind of remember everything. But once I kind of read through it, I'm like, I remember all of this. It all comes back so clearly. And kind of got it going. We got really lucky because we ended up winning. And I think the only reason we won was because it was the first time we played the game, so we started the novice difficulty at the bottom. But also, the cards, even though we had kind of mixed them up, we got lucky with how the layout of the board ended up being. So the way this game is played is you're given little tiles, and I should have brought the game down here with me because I could have shown it off, but I didn't. So they're just little tiles, like tiles like matching, like a matching card game tiles. And so they're just little squares about, maybe a couple inches by a couple inches. And you lay all these tiles out, and on there you're trying to, that are different parts of this island that are sinking. They're being flooded. And your job is you're basically a treasure hunter. You're trying to get around, collect these idols, 4 different idols, and get off this island before it all sinks. And you're drawing flood cards and you're drawing treasure cards to be able to collect enough treasure cards to get your treasure that you need, and you're flipping over flood cards to start sinking the city or the island. And we got really lucky because the places that we needed to go to get these idols or these artifacts were all really close together, and they were really close to the landing zone that we needed to get out on. So we didn't have to
Nice.
move a whole lot, which saved us big time. We also got a little lucky because of the characters. So you each play as a character, very generic, like a diver or an engineer or a pilot, and they all have special abilities. Well, the ones that we got stuck, or the ones we drew, because it's random. The ones we drew were engineer, pilot, and navigator. And the
Oh yeah, that's a perfect
like,
combination.
for the first time playing, that was the best combination because I was the pilot. I could bounce around as needed, making sure that we got what we need, kept things in check. My wife was the navigator, so she was moving other people around on her turn. And Reese was the engineer, and he was, he was just going around and he would just shore everything up in our paths to keep everything, like, keep stuff from flooding that we needed to, keep our central area all taken care of. And it it just went so smoothly that when we got done, we played through rather quickly. When we got done, I kind of looked at him like, yeah, that was way too easy. It's not going to be that easy all the time. And we started talking about how it could have been harder if some of the places were spread out a little bit more, because you're allowed 3 actions. And those actions involve moving. For each square that you move, that's counted as an action. So if the
Yep.
stuff starts getting spread out, you're not getting somewhere where you need to. Your other action is discarding your treasure cards to claim a treasure, or to claim the idol. Or another action is shoring up sinking city or sinking parts of the island. So really, if you get spread out, you could really get screwed. Having everything close together is kind of the key aspect, of the most important part of that game, to judge that complexity of it. So
What sucks is if somebody gets put on a tile and all the tiles around them sink,
you lose.
you're stranded. You're done.
Yep.
Unless your pilot can save you.
Right.
And if you didn't have the pilot for that game,
Yeah.
you're hosed. You
Yep.
are hosed so hard.
Exactly. And it was kind of fun. We were reading through like how you win. And we're like, oh, it's, fairly straightforward. And then it's how you lose. And it's a much longer list of how you
Oh
lose.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, ooh, yeah, that was tough. But yeah, the game is a lot of fun. I really like that game. I recommend it. It's ages. It's an ages 8 to up. It's 2 to 4 players. It's not very complicated at all. It's it's not complicated to play. It might be more complicated to master because it has that replayability of every time you play this game, the board is going to be different. The characters that you have out there is going to be different. The location of your idols are going to be different. And so it's and there's multiple levels for difficulty. So there's a flood track that, as more pieces, as you draw rising water cards, your flood track gets deeper and deeper, and means you have to draw more and more flood cards each turn. And so the difficulty starts from where you start on that flood track. So if you
Yep.
there's a legendary one that you start almost goddamn near the top, and I kind of want to try it, but man, I could see you losing that one rather quickly.
Sometimes it just like you said, your cards were perfect, the tiles got laid perfect. Sometimes it's the completely opposite, and it just you're just like, there's just no freaking way
Yeah.
unless we play this perfectly. And then sometimes it gets done so quickly and you beat it so bad, it's like, wow, we got this game mastered. We'll try it harder, and then you just get your butt kicked.
Right.
I think there's some websites out there that has different designs you can do with the board.
Right.
I think it's Forbidden Islands that
Yeah,
way.
I think so. I think I
Yeah.
remember. So yeah, I'm gonna need to look those up. Probably Board Game Geek probably has them. So I'll need to look those up, and I can add them into the box, and we can try some different layouts, because that would be kind of fun. So it's a really good game. I recommend it. Forbidden Island. Go check that one out. The other game that I played was Mice and Mystics, and that's because my youngest one swore that we had to play Mice and Mystics. We have played through this game already once. We have played every chapter. We have played every expansion to it, or at least the free expansions. I haven't bought the actual more miniatures and additional big story to it, the high dollar expansion. But they have missing chapters. That's what they call them, missing chapters to the story that you can play. We've played through all those. They He just loves playing this game, and it was just me and him. We decided he wanted to play, nobody else wanted to play. I'm like, okay, we'll play. So we sat it up. But here's where the challenge comes with this game is, one, the setup is kind of, you know, it's a little intense. The setup takes a little bit of time, and getting started and playing takes a little bit of time, and completing one chapter takes some time. And for a 6-year-old, this game is not designed for a 6-year-old, but he can play it and loves playing it. But his attention span's only so long, so we didn't get through an entire chapter. We only got about halfway through, maybe a little over halfway. But he had so much fun just going out, rolling the dice, battling monsters, battling rats, that he had a good time. And then when he got tired, he's like, "Dad, I'm done." I'm like, okay, no problems. Packed up what we had, put it back in the box, and he was good. He got his gaming in. So I can't wait for him to get just a little bit older, his attention span to get a little bit longer, and then we can play through some more. Uh, you know, it's a fun game. I recommend that one too. It's a lot of fun. That would be a fun one to. I've read several things where it's intended to be played as a campaign, multiple episode type, episodic, multiple chapters. Um, but I kind of want to do one where the way it's set up is that you play through, and at the end of each chapter, you get rid of all your stuff and you start back over. You start back at level 0 or level 1 with one ability and your starting equipment. I have read that you can play this as a continuing campaign where you start with these characters and then you build them up. And so as you get to the end, you're a higher level and you have more abilities and more options and more things you can do. I think that'd be kind of fun. I kind of want to try that sometime, but gotta wait for them to get a little older to be able
Yeah,
to do
get that
that.
attention span up there.
Yeah, yeah. So, but that is the tabletop world that we lived in this weekend. Lots of board games this week. We are approaching about an hour on this episode, so we're a little longer than normal. But lots of board games. I mean, you had 3, I had 2. Lots of stuff out there. Go check out these board games. Go check out your local board game shop. Support those guys. And I hope you guys had a good International Tabletop Day. Hope you guys got to play some board games.
Hopefully everybody did. That would be
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. The big resurgence of board games. It's good to hear. It's good to have all that. So, all right. Anything else you want to throw out there? We'll probably save Lost in Space for next week. Maybe I can get a couple more episodes in. I don't know. I've got mixed feelings on this. I'm still early in it. I need Kip to tell me I need to finish it. So,
Yeah, we'll have a discussion on that.
yeah.
And I saw Infinity Wars over the weekend. I won't spoil anything for you on that. So maybe one day you can see that and we can talk about it.
How about thumbs up? Thumbs up?
It's a really good movie.
Good. That's good. Yeah, I'm hoping to see it. I need some not busy weekends to be able to see it. So I don't know when that will happen, but
yeah,
I don't know.
June maybe.
Maybe June. Yeah, maybe June. But then you got stuff like Deadpool 2's coming out here in a couple weeks. We got Ant-Man and Wasp coming out in a month.
Yep, you got Han Solo in there.
Yeah, Han Solo's coming out this month. Like so many movies. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I don't know. But all right, so that's what we got. We'll talk about that other stuff on future episodes. But for now, you guys can check out our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/geekvice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That I didn't change it in here is tinyurl.com/geekvice. Or you can just go to YouTube and look up Kip and Morph, look up Geekvice. You can find us that way as well. You can also follow us on Twitter. That man over there at Kip Killigan. That's where you can find him. You can find me at Geekvice, and of course, as always, you can reach us by email at geekvice@gmail.com. Thanks everyone for listening to our ramblings, and we will see you next time.
Later.
This podcast is part of the Podcast Arcade Network.